Welcome to Property Addicts Australia, your home for everything property investing. Get an insider's view of what really works when building a portfolio. Learn how to avoid the common mistakes, plus get all the tips and tricks from the property investing experts Sana and Mona Ali. Join us to learn from the experts and set yourself up for long-term success in property investing. Proudly powered by propertytwins.com.au.
Welcome to the Property Addicts Australia podcast. We are Sana and Mona Ali, the Property Twins. We are mortgage brokers and buyer's agents assisting clients all over Australia with finance and building their property portfolios. In this episode of Property Addicts Australia, we talk about the challenges that motivate our clients to start their property journey, their motivation, what's important to them about investing in property. We also talk about is now the right time to buy property, and also analyzing your own financial position, your savings, your equity, your expenses to determine if you're ready to get started. We also talk about a high-level step-by-step process that you need to take from establishing a team all the way to getting a property added to your portfolio. We further delve into the Property Twins process and how we handhold our clients through the journey every step of the way. We also share some client stories where our clients have just started with their homes and bought one property after the other for their property portfolio with correct finance structuring and property selection so they can continue moving forward in the future.
When clients come to us, there's some common challenges that they are facing. So many of our clients are actually corporate professionals working in the corporate world. They are very, very time poor. They already have some equity in their home, or they've built some savings that they're looking to make the most of and make their savings and equity work for them. But the fact that, they're working high pressure jobs, they are very time poor, and they're also young families as well. So they have very little time left. They don't really know where to start their journey. They're first time investors. They want to be able to avoid the mistakes, or because they're investing effectively hundreds of thousands of dollars, or they're committing a lot to this journey. They want to be able to make sound investment decisions so that it pays off over the long term. Overall, the property industry has a lot of information. There's a lot of conflicting information. You don't know who to trust and where to start. So that's where they're at when we actually start on their journey with them.
Any client, right, when they first come to us, the first question we ask them is, what's important about property investing to you? For most of them, they feel they don't have the stability or control in life. They want to spend more time with their families, build something for their children. They want to build a nest egg for their retirement later on. They realize that superannuation really is not going to sustain the same quality of life they're doing, same quality of life that they have right now. Some of them want to pursue passions, right? One of our clients wanted to play chess, I believe, as a hobby full time, or have their partner reduce their work hours. Many of them have that goal, and they realize that the corporate active income is not going to be passive. The day they stop working, they will not have that income. And what's important to them is set themselves up for the longer term, for retirement, for stability, financial security, and control in their life.
And also, there is this fear of redundancy. Organizations restructure all the time. You never know when your role could be made redundant. Having corporate backgrounds ourselves, we relate to that because we've been there. We know how people feel with lack of security, stability, and control because someone else is driving your future, your destiny. So you have very little control over it.
And they also ultimately want to build generational wealth for their children and generations beyond. So they know that if they don't start today, time is going to pass anyway. And that's what drives many of them.
So with our corporate clients, many of them have been doing their corporate roles for years, working 9 to 5, or back in my corporate days, 9 to 9, 48 weeks of the year. So there's no time freedom. They're pretty much reliant on their employers to give them annual leave. And you have zero control over it, really. It's limited amount of time. And many of our clients actually want to maximize the time they actually spend with their families. So the most common question that we get asked by most clients is now the right time to buy property? So if we had $1 for every time we got asked that question, really. Firstly, there will never be an alarm bell ringing for you to take action. You need to own that journey. There's never a perfect time. Talking about from our own personal experience, 2010 to mid-2013, Sydney market was flat. There was no growth happening. And obviously people were scared and rates were a bit on the higher side during that phase as well. And we would go to open homes and we would literally see like there was nobody turning up, and we wondered why that was the case. So ultimately what we realized was that you need to take ownership. You need to make decisions based on your economy, not what's happening outside of you, but based on your world. So looking at Australia right now, we have record immigration happening. About 1.5 million people are about to arrive in Australia or have already started arriving up until year 2027. And for these people, Australia actually needs to build something like, I think it was 378 houses per day to be able to cater for that population growth. But then you take the organic growth that's happening within Australia, our population's actually going to grow by 2.18 million. And for that, we need sub 470 houses built every single day. So if you look at those stats and say, well, this is not really practical, it's not possible. Construction costs are all-time high. Lending is tight. So how is Australia actually going to cater for this population growth? That will impact the markets eventually. So you need to look at your current circumstances and say, well, am I able to take action right now? Do I have the equity? Do I have the savings? Do I have a secure enough job for me to be able to take action? Because putting in a too hard basket only really means that you kick the can down the road. You don't know how the future will look. Lending climates could change. Your life circumstances could change. Your borrowing capacity could change. So many things could happen. So what you can do today, you may not be able to do a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later. So action is actually in the present moment.
To start that, you need to look at your equity, your savings, your risk profile at the same time. So you might be just a homeowner who bought your home a couple of years ago and have seen some growth in equity that you can tap into. Often people think they need to sell a property to buy the next one, but actually you can tap into the equity if it's already increased in value. Or you might be a first-time buyer who has built up savings. Let's say you've built up 90 grand in savings. You need to consider, let's get started. You would be able to buy, say, a 500K property with 90 grand if you're paying lender's mortgage insurance. Often what we see with buyers is, I don't want to pay lender's mortgage insurance. And sure, you need another $40,000, about 130K to complete a 500K deal without paying lender's mortgage insurance. But what we learned in our journey is you can also miss the market. It might take you, say, 6 months to save, maybe even 12 months. And in that time, the market's grown $100,000 or $200,000. So you can't really wait for that perfect time to arrive when you can get started.
And there's always a price to pay. And lender's mortgage insurance is a price to pay to achieve your goal, to get into the market, to maximize exposure to the market. So you need specific credit advice coupled with some tax advice to be able to take that next step.
Well, when we come to your equity savings or your current financial position, people also need to think about their credit cards and personal loans, car loans. These impact your borrowing capacity for the worse, because a car loan or a personal loan might be, say, over 3 years and your repayments might be extremely high. And often we hear people say, I pay my credit card off every month. Well, that's awesome, but the banks still take that as a liability. So if you have a 10 grand credit card, the banks take 3.8% to 4% of that as your ongoing monthly liability. So credit limits can impact your borrowing capacity. And also what we've seen over the last, say, 5 to 7 years is the responsible lending, where your living expenses are very important and banks are sometimes even reviewing your statements line by line. So you need to be really mindful of what your monthly expenses are over a period of 3 to 6 months, especially when you're about to start your property journey and start investing and going for some lending to expose yourself to the market.
So talking about the high level process that you would typically go through your investment journey is really firstly building a team around you, which would include people who've actually walked the path. They've probably built a portfolio themselves. They know how structuring works or how all the pieces of the puzzle actually come together. This could include an investment savvy mortgage broker, a buyer's agent, an accountant, a solicitor, and a few people that you will include on your journey. And then you would set up your finance correctly as step 2. So finance is crucial to building a strong property portfolio. Often people think of finance later and they think of property first, but finance comes first for you to be able to understand how far your resources can actually take you. How many properties can you buy? How to make sure that the loans are set up tax effectively so you can maximize on your tax efficiency, and also how you can minimize risk that comes with giving bank the control. Then moving on from that, narrowing down on the right location. So you look at historical data, you may look at various metrics like supply and demand metrics, and there could be things like rental yield, rental vacancies, and other comparable sales for that particular area. And then we have property selection strategy, being very clear on your property selection strategy, your negotiables and non-negotiables, because if you don't know what you're looking for, then all properties look the same. What are the things that you're going to avoid? What are the hazards that you're going to avoid? There's a lot of publicly available information as well that you can access for this.
And once you have clarity on narrowing down your location and the property selection strategy, that's when you get in touch with real estate agents and build relationship with real estate agents to close the deal. You need to understand that every state has a different sales process. Every agent has a different sales process, what terms and conditions they would take, ask a lot of questions to qualify the deal. And once you have found that property, get that contract of sale reviewed by your solicitor and put an offer. That's a win-win for you and the vendor, because, the real estate agents want the deal done, but they also want to see what terms you're putting forward and what could help you win the deal. People often worry that, what if I buy a bad house, or if the house I buy have issues, right? As part of this end-to-end process, building and pest is a very important part of the journey. When our clients get building and pest reports, what we like to do is get on the phone with the inspector. So our clients are actually hearing from the expert on any issues with the property or whether they should actually walk away from the deal. We get on the phone and get on a conference to go page by page and even negotiate on deals for our clients as part of this process. Lastly, the most important part of the process is managing that asset, managing your property. A good property manager is worth their weight in gold. Sometimes people pay the least attention to that, but a good property manager can make or break your portfolio, because if they're not collecting the right amount of rent from the tenants to maximize the opportunity for you, or if they're not really looking after the maintenance of the property, you or even giving access to bad tenants or not doing proper checks on your tenants, you could end up with a property which might be a liability rather than an asset. So manage your asset moving forward. And managing that asset also includes depreciation, getting depreciation schedules done so you're maximizing the tax benefits, and also having a great tax accountant on your team who can advise you to structure your taxes so you can save as you grow your property portfolio. At Property Twins, we help our clients with 2 services. The first is the mortgage broking, where we structure the finance, and the second is the buyer's agency, where we help search and select for quality investment properties. When clients come to us, they schedule a 15-minute initial chat with us where we get on the phone, or one of our team gets on the phone and finds out what's important to you about investing, what's your why. And if we can help you, we'll let you know. And if we can't, we point you in the right direction. If we can help you with the finance piece, the next step is sharing our online portal, which takes about 25 minutes to fill, and a few other bits and pieces of documents that our team needs so we can model out your property portfolio.
So once we have modeled your portfolio as to what your resources can do for you or how we can help you, then we have a meeting with you where we share that strategy with you. So we'll go through what the lender options that are available to you, how many properties you can buy with your resources, whether you should pay lender's mortgage insurance or you shouldn't. And in terms of the loan structures, how can we maximize tax efficiently and do it very tax effectively for you? We'd also look at repayment types. Should you be doing interest only or principal and interest? The pros and cons of both approaches. Effectively marrying up the strategy to your goals. That's what we are trying to do, to be able to cater for your long-term goals. But something to note is lending strategy evolves over time. It's not something set in stone. It's really fluid. So the strategy we do today may be different from a year later to 2 years later. We've had clients who've come to us back in 2017 when lending was quite tight. They bought their first investment property and then lending loosened up. So they bought their second one and then their third one. So we've helped them navigate the lending climate over a period of time. So it's something that it's living and breathing document effectively, which evolves and ebbs and flows as time goes on.
And once we agree on that finance strategy and the options or the direction you'll go in, the next step is preparing your loan application. That's where the Property Twins team takes the stress off you and handhold you through the whole process. And our team owns that from start to finish, from the time we lodge it to the bank to all the way through to settlement. And even beyond, our team are looking after loan maintenance for our clients. So every 6 to 12 months, we review what rates our clients are on, if we can keep them as competitive as possible for that lender in the market. And if not, what are the opportunities for our clients to make the most of their assets and where they save and are also set up correctly, as well as exploring opportunities later on to expand that portfolio. That's what continues. We keep revisiting that strategy. The next step in the process is the property search, and you may be a finance client who's ready with a pre-approval, or you might already have a pre-approval in place. That's where we get the discussion started to search that high growth and cash flow property for you. And we go through the exact deals that we've done for our clients and the type of properties we buy. The goal is really to handhold you through the entire process, help you build a team of trusted professionals who can assist you, be that solicitors or building and pest inspectors. We bring it all together for you so we can project manage that for you end to end.
And when it comes to property selection strategy, there's different types of buyers agencies. Some are volume driven. They might be doing 20, 30, 40 deals a month, but we are boutique. We are working with a set number of clients because we believe we need to give them the care and attention that they actually deserve. We are helping them narrow down in high quality locations with high quality properties. I guess having been doing this for 14 years or so, it's kind of like an inbuilt thing now in terms of being able to select really high quality houses that have really good resale value, because the test of a property is not how much under market value you buy today or what you're buying. It's more so when the downturn comes along, would you actually be able to sell it? So we help our clients and avoid the mistakes that come with buying a bad property. We do all the due diligence, start to finish for that. We buy off-market, pre-market and on-market deals, but typically in a rising market, most properties are actually making it to the market, because why would a vendor want to sell? Like, you have to put yourself in their shoes, because we get asked by our clients, do you actually have off-market properties? Yes, sure we do. But if you were the seller and you knew that a market was rising, would you go and sell your property off market? It doesn't mean that a property that's off market is actually a good deal. And we get asked by our clients, so how long does it actually take to find the right property? So how long is a piece of string? Our goal is to buy the right property for you, but on average, it takes about 4 to 8 weeks for us to complete a deal.
There's a lot of comprehensive due diligence that goes into it, right? There's different metrics that we are looking at. We are doing the cash flow analysis. We're looking at rental yield, vacancy rate, supply, demand ratios, owner to rent ratios in the market. And data is one part of it. And there's a lot more to fundamentals, but we are going through a whole lot of checklists to even distill an area for purchase.
And we're also looking at things like hazards that may be existing for a particular property, like it could be floods or bushfire hazards or noise corridors. So we're looking at all those things for our clients and helping them avoid those mistakes. And then it comes to the actual selection strategy in terms of your negotiables and non-negotiables, because every client is different. They have their own risk profile. So what works for one client may not work for another client of ours. So we are trying to understand what actually works for them. Some people maybe okay to buy an older house, which is on a larger block of land, knowing that it will come with maintenance costs. On the other hand, some clients want set and forget newer properties, not brand new, because we are not into brand new properties. We look at solely established properties. So buying quality houses, which they can just put it on rent with good quality tenants and focus on their lives.
And the key is with this property selection is we discard the vast majority of properties because we have that mental checklist before we even consider it for our client. Like maybe 9 in 10 properties get discarded. That's where we challenge the volume-based buyer's agency approach, where we're finding in the industry people are buying 30, 40 houses every single month. But can you really buy that many quality properties? We don't think so. And that's where we are really boutique with help assisting our clients in property search and selection.
Yeah, and then when it comes to negotiating the deal, our goal is to put our clients in front of the queue, especially in a rising market. So it's a consultative approach that we go through with our clients when it comes to deciding on the offer, what our gut feel is, what are other properties selling for, and really having that discussion and looking at the pros and cons and the risks associated with that. Because, you know, in a rising market, sometimes you may not know where things would land. So our goal is to be able to lead our clients in making those informed decisions.
So it's a due diligence that we share with our clients about that property and that location, coupled with what's happening on the ground in the market, and also qualifying the seller as part of that negotiation process and asking a lot of questions and getting that contract ready for our solicitors to review so we can put the best terms and conditions for our clients to actually secure the deal. That's what brings it all together. So, you know, building your team, narrowing down on that location, having clarity on your property selection strategy, doing your due diligence at a deal level, and including cash flow analysis as part of that, and then negotiating that deal to get it to completion and managing it end to end.
And when the property settles, we introduce you to a property manager. So we do have networks and connections where we can put you in touch with the right people who will look after your asset from there onwards as well, along with potentially a tax accountant, or if you needed a depreciation schedule. So completing the deal with all those bits and pieces at the end. So we follow this process with every single client of ours. And now talking about some clients who actually went on this journey with us. So Jane and John have been our clients since mid-2018. So Jane is a chartered accountant and John is an engineer. When they came to us, they were first home buyers. So we helped them buy their first home in December 2018. We helped them with the finance, structuring the finance with a lender, which gave them maximum flexibility. They could in future expand their property portfolio tax effectively. Then in June 2020, we bought them their first investment property as their buyer's agents and their finance brokers. And then in June 2022, we helped them buy their second investment property as their buyer's agents and their finance brokers. So in this journey, the way we helped them was firstly correct structuring of their finance. So they had maximum flexibility to be able to tweak the structures of their owner-occupied loan so they could use their cash savings tax effectively. So many times when people use their cash savings, they just pull the money out of the offset and put a deposit. But there is a better way, and you need to layer this with good tax advice to be able to tweak your owner-occupied loan and use your cash savings tax effectively. So we helped them with that. And then their first investment property, which was purchased in Brisbane for about $430,000 in June 2020, that property grew in value over time because the Brisbane market moved and it boomed. And in June 2022, we bought them another investment property in Brisbane for around mid-600s or so. And now moving on, 18 months later or so, their properties have been valued at $750,000 each for the investment property, and their home is sub $800,000. So their portfolio is about $2.3 million as of now. So when they came to us, they didn't know what path they could follow. We laid out a plan for them, and lending evolved over time, and we've helped them really navigate lending and also helped them with correct property selection, which has set them up for the long term. And as of now, they're considering buying their third investment property this year as well.
I'd like to call out, right, the first investment property they bought, they used their savings, restructured their owner-occupied to do that tax effectively. But the second property was bought using the equity that they had gained in their first investment property. And that's where a quality investment property really comes into the picture, because often people just think I'll buy a cheapie and the location may not matter. But they were positioned so well that these base properties in their portfolio are going to continue giving them the equity to move forward, because the lending climates will keep evolving over time and we can keep revisiting that strategy as their life circumstances evolve.
And something to add is that they did not shy away from using lenders' mortgage insurance. So they paid it for their home, they paid it for their first investment property, and then we helped them with tapping into the equity as well of their home. So having the lending with the right lender is what enabled that, because not all lenders are friendly with investors when it comes to it. So if you are starting off and you don't have sufficient deposits, you need to really make sure you choose the lender correctly, which will help you progress long term.
Most importantly, they had a why. They wanted to be focused on their goal. They didn't give up, right? As you can see, this journey panned out over a period of time. Some people, either they set a goal so ambitious that if they don't achieve it in a few months, they give up. But, there's yet others, slow and steady wins the race. That also brings me to another client story of Tom and Kelly. They're a couple. Tom is a project manager and Kelly works in administration. They have two dependents. So when they came to us, they had built their Sydney home. They knew they had some equity, but they didn't know how to move forward. So what we did for them, they didn't have savings to put for the deposit, and we were going to solely rely on the equity. And when they came to us, we restructured their home to tap into around $186,000 in equity and get them a purchase, which in Southeast Queensland, which was $600K in mid-2021. And that's when in just over 2.5 years, it's worth around $835K in a high growth suburb, an owner-occupied demand suburb. The property is also zoned for future development. So that's going to be an extremely good starting point to expand the portfolio for them. Also, this particular property, they don't come on the market that often that we purchase for them. I just want to call out, they only use about maybe 120K odd of their saving equity cash out of the 186K. So they have funds left over for future investment, and they've already gained equity. Yes, the lending climate tightened quite a bit after that, which didn't help them move forward just yet. But we do know that once things loosen up a bit, we're going to restructure this again so they can continue building that property portfolio, which is their ultimate goal.
So it's slow and steady. You need to keep taking the steps towards your goal. The whole journey may not be evident today, but it's about keeping on track and focusing on what you can do right now and taking action on that. Thank you for listening. Join us next time for another episode of Property Addicts Australia, where we will be going through the key decisions that you need to make on your journey and what you need to know.
Thanks for listening to Property Addicts Australia. For future episodes, click follow. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And for more information about how we can help you, visit propertytwins.com.au.